Bodies used to be, or some may even say are still, commodities. Our bodies, specifically the black female body, have been turned into a how do you say, a factory for the American dream. And because of the history of slavery in North America, white supremacy has become an invisible network of highways that we can't even see, but we live at the effect of. And whether we're talking about law enforcement, politics, student loans, car loans, where you can live, what zip code you can move into, what kind of car you can drive, what kind of hair you can wear at work. All of that, all of those invisible forces are white supremacy because we are considered cargo. We are considered a product, a commodity, something that can be bought and sold and traded without any kind of relationship to us as human beings. And because we're the cargo or the cars for culture, for swag, for trend, for work, okay, our survival has been rooted in overcoming. Whereas white supremacy, in terms of the structures, I'm not talking about skin, I'm talking about structures. It's all rooted in keeping, I don't want to say power because that's too obvious, and maintaining its control on the highways that move the human race forward, especially in America. Hi, I'm Dr. Venus, your hot mess millionaire. And today we're talking about counter white supremacy as black women. This is a good one because I've been mad for about a week, okay, dealing with just the structures of white supremacy that are so invisible, but yet so forceful, okay? So my trinity right now, this week, is the death of DMX and how media and social media was so quick to paint him as um, less than human. Okay, and then we deal with the George Floyd. I know they call it a day. I know we don't want to call it what it. I know we don't want to call it the George Floyd trial. But what I'm pointing to is the character assassination with regard to drug addiction. Okay, ugh, that one is hard. And then the one that just tipped me over the edge was Daunte White and how he called his mother from the car and said, Mom, I think I'm about to die. I lost it. I was done. Done. Okay. And so I've been in a reaction, and it's a fair one. Okay. It's a fair one. I'm not tripping. It's a fair one. Um, I've been triggered as a black woman who has survived trauma. So I'm clear that trauma doesn't leave, it gets triggered. Okay. And as I've been praying and crying, crying and praying, praying and crying, crying and praying, thank you, Donnie McKirkland, standing. And I talked to my mom. Nana, she's 76 years old, and she's lived through a lot of this. So I was talking to her about it, specifically right after um, Mr. White was accidentally, God help us, shot instead of tasered. All right, and I could go there, but I'm not. I think. She and I were talking about it. Now she's older. All right. I forgot to say this. If you haven't already, go ahead and please subscribe to the Hot Mess Millionaire podcast. Please also, if you're listening live, please share this broadcast. Tag people, share, comment. This is a dialogue, not a monologue. Okay. And you should know that I got some trolls that feel the need to express themselves. Okay. If someone says something awful on the feed or leaves an ugly comment, ignore them. They are wounded. Do not give them your life force by engaging. It's not necessary. As far as I'm concerned, God's got it. So don't engage with wounded people looking to feed off of your energy. Don't let them use you. Okay, so don't respond. It's okay. We'll block them later. Not a problem. No big deal. They're not important to us. Okay, so please remember that. Don't engage. You're bigger than that. You don't need to. So, girl, ugh, ugh, girl. The three of those together, DMX, George Floyd, and Daunte White, sent me into a tizzy, and rightfully so. I'm not tripping. I'm an empath. Deal with it. But what also, it had me start thinking through. Okay, God, I'm reaching out to my white allies because I have a lot of them. Okay, and I know there's some black people like they're not our allies. Ah, ah. We could never have gotten through the Civil War without abolitionists. Please remember that. And we would never have gotten through civil rights without white people, Jewish people. It wouldn't have happened. So I know you're mad. I understand. Believe me, I do. I do. Okay. But we don't want to throw out the baby with the bathwater. Okay. And I believe this. I believe that there are people who are white, but not white people. All right. There's a difference. And when I say white, I don't mean skin color. I'm talking about ideology. I know some black white supremacists. Candace Owens. You know what I'm saying? Kanye West. I mean, Lil Wayne. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I'm not ever talking about skin. That's not even the game. I'm dealing with the power structures that are invisible, that control the highways, that can change the rules anytime they want, and we live at the effect of them, including poor whites, including poor whites. So this is not a hate whitey moment. This is white supremacy is falling and is kicking and screaming. Okay. And I know there were other murders and deaths after the three I mentioned. I know that. I'm not contending with that for my own well being. Okay. I'm good with the three I got. So I'm going to stay there. So, but what I want to talk to you about is how do we counter white supremacy as Black women? And this is a real word because when I was talking to Nana, she's older. She's 76, as I mentioned, and she doesn't like that we protest with with burning and looting. Okay, she thinks that it undermines the legitimacy of the cause. I understand her, and I understand Black rage. Okay, I'm not saying I condone. I'm saying I understand. All right. Now, I'm gonna say this before I get into the deep teaching, but I want to make sure you hear me when I say this. Okay. One of the biggest challenges of being a Black person in America is the powerlessness of dealing with white power structures. And it seems as if white power structures only pay attention when we mess with their money, when we burn something down. Okay? And then it becomes, oh, you're looting. It's a whole thing, right? But it's never about, okay, what were the conditions that would cause that kind of reaction? Because that means they will have to be accountable. And we know that that's not their forte. So I'm not interested in having a conversation with you about who's right and who's wrong. I don't really care. And I would love for you to get your ear tuned up. Right and wrong have nothing to do with change. They have to do with blame. Blame is a distraction from change. So don't get caught into a conversation, or don't get hijacked into a right or wrong conversation. What's worse, the knee on the neck or the drugs? It doesn't matter. He's dead. Okay? So I'm not having a conversation about right or wrong. So please, let's not do that. That's not even my thing. Okay? What I'm more interested in is effectiveness. And this is where it gets good. Okay? So I was talking to Nana, 76. She's done civil rights. She done lived some life. She went through the war. She was born in the 40s. Okay? And so I'm in my feelings, talking about social justice. I'm talking smack, y'all. I was just hot, all right? And she's, older and patient. She's like, you don't drive yourself crazy doing it that way. I'm like, meow. And what she pointed out is what I want to talk about today, my very first point, okay? Well, let me say it like this. I would love for you to take on the metaphor that Black people move stuff. We move culture, We move, how can I say, God, help me fix it. We move trends. We move what's fashionable, what's hip. A cultural currency is our thing, okay? The world follows our lead in terms of what's hip, hot, and cool, okay? Hair, clothes, everything, that kind of stuff, right? But we're normally the vehicles by which something gets moved. So I call that cars. We're the cars, just like a black body became a birthing canal for the American dream. She was birthing, our black bodies were birthing black labor for free for white supremacy. Okay? Oh, I gotta say this. For all of my Africanists who are fussing at me about saying supremacy, please understand, I'm not saying white people are I am not suggesting that white people are supreme to any race when I say white supremacy. When I say white supremacy, I am pointing to a historical functionality that is built into social structures that we can no longer see. I am not talking about white skin. And if y'all come at me one more again about this, black people, and you know who you are, I am going to handle it. Okay? So please stop screaming at me in caps that I should stop saying white supremacy. White supremacy is a term that I'm using in historical context. I am not saying white people are supreme. Okay? And I understand the use of language, but please help me help us. Okay? I'm not against you, I'm with you. I am not calling white people superior. That is not my point. My point is, historically, there are certain social structures in place that are invisible. And I'm gonna talk about the next, I'm gonna roll it right into my first point of the two that I wanna get in today. There are certain social structures that are invisible but have impact. For example, the law. Okay? So when I was crying and praying and fussing and talking to Nana, she was fussing at me about how we protest. And she's older, I'm not. And so we have different approaches. Okay? And one of the things she said to me that I want to bring to you, and it's really key, and please, if you need to, write it down, tattoo it on your chest, do something with it, but it's dope. She said, and I'm taking it to heart, she said, nothing in this society will change until we elect future focused leaders. Now, when she said it, I didn't like it because it took too long. But then I started to look up the Senate. Girl, do you know that the average age of someone who starts in the Senate is 65? And it takes 6 years for them to get up to snuff? And then they have a career being reelected? There are people in the Senate who are 90, 87, 86, which means they were born before the baby boomers by 2 generations, meaning the people who are in the Senate right now were born literally right after Jim Crow. Do you understand what that means? Let me help you understand. That means the people in the Senate or in Congress who were born before baby boomers, who are in their 70s and 80s, have an ideology about black bodies. Do you understand? So that group of people are the ones who are doing the legislation. And the people who are being elected are being elected as senior citizens. I mean, literally 65 years old. Not even 45, not even 40 or 50, 65. So we're actually, literally, our Senate is a group of elderly people. Elderly white men. And no one is noticing that. We're not noticing the structures that keep the power in place, that have them make the rules. So we're not putting our attention on electing officials at the level of local government, at the level of state, and then at the level of country. Do you see what I'm saying? Because we're not looking at that, they're slipping them in. Do you see what I'm saying? because we don't have any attention on it. We have our attention on the hot topics like police, in my opinion, murders, execution. You want to know how I feel about it? I said it and I meant it. I stated killing us. Okay, we don't have our attention on legislation. We don't have our attention on literally identifying and voting in leaders who are younger and who are forward focused, that have our interests at heart. We don't seem to notice it until it's a problem. So what my mom was pointing to, and again, she's 76 years old and she has every right. And I love my Nana because she's brilliant. Okay. I haven't had no attention on who's going in the Senate. I'm just talking about me. I don't know about you. I didn't care. I didn't even think of the Senate as something important. Quite frankly, I've always had my eye on the president stuff, but I never thought about circuit courts. I never thought about my local mayor. I had no attention on it because it's invisible to me. Do you understand? It's not obvious because it doesn't seem like a big deal, because when you're comfortable, or when you're not picking cotton, you're just thankful to God you can pay a bill. Okay? So one of the things that we can do as Black women to counter white supremacy is to really start looking at how we educate ourselves and our communities around who to vote for at least 4 to 8 years in advance. Is what the Republicans do. And I'm taking pages from the Republicans book, from the white supremacy book, from the white male book. I'm stealing all they shit and I'm pipping it back to them. It's going to be great. Okay. So the thing that we have to contend with is we have a midterm election coming up and no one has their attention on it. Stacey Abrams is the loudest microphone around voting. Okay. And she's in Georgia, but we're all over. So I'm asking us as Black women to start putting some attention on local and governmental elections, and identifying candidates that are younger, and I'm specifically talking about the Senate as well as the House of Representatives, that are younger but have our interests at heart. Because if we start doing that now, in the next 8 years, we'll have a whole different effect. Does that make sense? I don't know if y'all talking to me today or not. I'm needing some love. I'm like, God, where are my people at? No, because this is dope, and I think we can win at this. And this, I don't play games I can't win at. Y'all might do that. I'm a winner, so I play games I can win. And when I look at the civil rights movement, I don't know if y'all realize it. We talk about the marches, but we never talk about the strategy of the legislation. They moved some laws while people were marching. And people should march. We should march, march on. Ooh, march on. But we need to tend to really putting our attention on getting people who have our interest in those seats. Does that make sense? If we don't do that, no matter how much we march, those people in those seats, in the Senate and in the House and in the federal government, they can always change the rules with the laws. So that's one way we can counter white supremacy. Okay? I just want to make that very, very, very clear, is that we have to have our attention, not just on the hot topic buttons, which are valid, but also the boring, invisible white supremacy called elections that are local, that don't get any fanfare. I don't even hear about them. I just look at the ballot and go, who that? Who that? Who that? So I just want to put that in. So that's the first piece. So that's the first thing, it's laws. But the second piece that I think is dope is money. Now, y'all know I'm a money girl. I think money equals freedom. I don't think you can be free if you don't have your own money. Okay? And I think that, let me say it like this. I have some resources. Y'all should read them so you can get your own revelation. But let me make it real plain to you. Black women have a buying power of $1.4 trillion. I'm going to say it louder for the people in the back. Black women have a buying power of $1.4 trillion. Okay? Let me make it even more plain to you. Black women are the fastest growing segment in entrepreneurship in the world. All right? I got some articles on it. I got all that in there. Check up on it, right? And yet, less than 0.27% of Black women ever get funding for their business from investors. And our businesses don't mature beyond the 5-year cycle because we don't have working capital. You see what I'm saying? So we can start it, but we can't sustain it, right? So here's my thinking. As a starch capitalist that respects the game, y'all know. Well, I talk like I know me, but those of you who know me, I'm starting. I've already started my own tech company. Okay, my tech startup, and I'm committed to birthing 100 Black women billionaires. I'm sorry, 100 billionaires who happen to be Black women, in the next 5 years, starting now. All right. And just to put a bug in your ear, I'm going to start pre-sales very soon. So walk with me because it is going to be magnificent. You hide and watch. It is going to be so good, so good. But what I want you to understand is billionaire status is not about the money. This is what I need you to hear. Everything in America is built in terms of the model of slavery. The very first corporation was for slave ships. Okay, the whole notion of a corporation is to protect the interest of the slave owners who were shipping slaves to different parts of the world, or bring them in from Africa. Okay, and even sharecropping is still a structure that was created by virtue of the transatlantic slave trade. Okay, the remnants of those structures we still use. For example, social media. That's sharecropping at its finest. It says, okay, you can use my platform or my seeds to build your platform or get some food or grow your food, but you'll get a share of the profit after cost. Okay? That's sharecropping at its best. I call it big pimping. All right? So what I'm pointing to is the structures that we move in are the same structures that built America. They're all rooted in slavery. They're built on a caste system. Okay? And so the way that that works is that the structures are designed to stay in place. So we're not fighting the right fight. We're fighting the effect of the structure, not the structure. Okay? Now, the benefit of becoming a billionaire or having $1 billion valuation for your company or for our company or for my company, and I'm in it with you, so we're in this together, it's not the money. Because the valuation, in my opinion, is nothing more than legalized gambling. It's white people, rich white people, and to be fair, I'll say rich people, you know I mean white, who can see that a commodity, a business, a product has a future 5, 10, 20, 100 years down the line, and they're willing to put money in it for future return. Does that make sense? So if you follow that strand, then that means billionaire is not about the money. It's about the infrastructure that is built so that there's future tense money based on the product that was born today. God, I pray to you that they understand what I am saying, because if they do, they will be jumping out of their seats. Okay? So I just want to put it together. Black women are the fastest growing segment in entrepreneurship in the world. Okay? Black women have a buying power of $1.4 trillion right as I speak. If we took on becoming billionaires, and not the money part of it, I can talk to you about that in a minute, but if we took on structuring and getting all the infrastructure in place to get that valuation, that means we are literally modeling the model that keeps us in bondage. They don't hear me, God. I don't even know how to make this make sense. So if we get those structures built, our structures would be designed for us. The model will be the same, but instead of taking our $1.4 trillion and spending it in white places, we take our $1.4 trillion and make our own ecosystem within the system. Do you see what I'm saying? That is how we counter white supremacy. We don't build more cars. We build our own highways. And if we build our own highways, we don't need their highways. And if we don't need their highways, they can't control us. They can't change the rules. They can't up the speed limit. They can't clear off the tollway. They can't block an exit because we're not using their highways no more. We're using our highways that we built based on their model. Okay? And I'm going to tell you what makes it so ridiculously awesome is that they don't think we can do it. Ah! Do you understand how great that is? I know there are some white supremacists right now listening, and they are like, whatever, because they think so little of us. They don't think that we're human. They think that we are animals, cattle to be prod and poked and tore apart. They don't see us as people. And that's fine. They don't have to. I have no interest in them. I really don't, y'all. I only care about you. You are my focus. You are my life, girl. You're it for me. Okay? So I don't have any concern about white people or white supremacy, because I do think there's a difference, being threatened by us because they don't think that much of us. I posted about a month ago when I really got committed to $1 billion valuation in the next 5 years, right? And two white men decided to explain on Facebook underneath my logo that it was highly unlikely. And I'm like, okay, thank you for sharing. They don't see us as equals. They don't see us as a threat, not in the way that I'm talking, okay? And they don't see us as independent enough to not need them. They think we're, girl, when people get mad at me, when the trolls come, the white trolls come, they're like, oh, you're just living off the government, and you're a welfare mom, and your people do drugs, and y'all kill each other, and they're so quick. Look at all the people who died in Chicago, all the black on black crime. And I'm like, okay, I hear you. And I mean, I do hear them. I don't think they're wrong. I don't see with that hat. That's not germane to what I'm saying. Okay. But they are so committed to being right about how wrong we are. They can't even fathom that we will be able to do this, except we already have. We've already done the 1.4 trillion. But what if we organized it such that we did it with our own systems instead of theirs? And that's a real question. What if $1 billion valuation or $1 billion is not really about the money? What if it's about the infrastructure that has to be built such that we have highways instead of cars? That's a different life. And that's a different financial future for the next 5 generations. Okay. And that's what I'm committed to. So my startup, my tech startup, is for Black women, by Black women, created by a Black woman, but built by Black men who love us and love their mamas. Okay. And the reason I'm doing that is because until we have our own highways, we will always be a slave. We'll be a slave to their agendas. We'll be a slave to their whims. We'll be a slave to their rules and how they change them when it serves them. And there's nothing you can do that when you're on somebody else's plantation or platform. But when you have your own highway, that's literally funded by you for a group of people that actually have a value for what you bring, we counter white supremacy. We don't fight it, we counter it. And the beautiful thing about a counter is that it's not a fight. It's like playing chess. It's like we don't have to worry about them. I'm no longer concerned about them. They're not my focus. You're my focus. Okay? And my intention is to create an app that is built for how Black women buy. Do you understand? And built in such a way that it gives you something you can't get anywhere else. I'm out to create an extraordinary product. I'm not asking for a favor. I don't need your favor. And I funded it myself, okay? And we'll talk about that as it comes, right? But, and I have 65 content creators who are Black women, and they're amazing, okay? And right now I'm reaching out to some amazing influencers that are just beautiful, beautiful hearts, okay? But it's all for you. It's for you. You see what I'm saying? I want you to have something that honors you as a Black woman, that is a safe space to be your whole self. I mean, everywhere from kink to Christian. I'm here for all of it. Okay, and where you can explore different pieces of content that reflect you and your interests instead of trying to fit into somebody else's mode. So I'm building it. I'm not talking about it. I'm actually doing it. And I'm launching. I'm a launch. Should I say it, Jesus? Soon. Okay. But I'm going to start. I'm going to start the pre-order really, really soon, within the next week or so. So I want to get you ready for that, because Goldman Sachs is investing $10 billion in Black women startups. I don't want to be obligated to them. So I'm funding my own. Okay. And the thing is, they're aware of our tenacity. They can see if we're building businesses left and right, they're investing in us. I say we need to invest in us. I did, and I want you to do as well. And the investments only is pennies. It's pennies. It's not even big money. And I did that on purpose. Okay. Because I want to build a model that's reproducible by other Black women startups. I'm not only building my startup and funding it myself, I'm building it such that other Black women can model my model. But I'm stealing it from white people. No, I'm modeling that from white supremacy. Okay, so I feel good about the word spoken. I'm in high gratitude. Okay, let me know what you think about this idea, both the law perspective of becoming future focused in terms of the quiet elections, not just the big one, and also this notion of the infrastructure that America's built, rooted in slavery, that model can be duplicated by us, for us. And I'm doing it now. And I want to hear what you think about that. Does that appeal to you? Or do you have a better idea? I'm here for it. I'm here for it all day, every day. Okay. But I believe fundamentally that until we own our own highways, we'll always live at the effect of white supremacy. And we can, because we have the buying power. We really can. We really sincerely can. Okay. We just have to create amazing products that Black women love. And I don't think that's a hard thing to do. Okay. So it's not a matter of buying Black for Black's sake. I don't believe in that. I think that's not, it's not a loyalty thing. It's a product thing. Right. And the business model that I've created is that my content creators we have a 50-50 rev share. It's all transparent. I'll tell you about it as it comes together. But my point is, instead of fighting white supremacy, outsmart it. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. All right, beloved. Know that I love you, girl. I love you. And I love you with my whole heart. I love you with every breath in my body. I thank God for you. Thank you for being my reason. Thank you for being my purpose. And please remember that you are magic. You are the Alpha and the Omega. You are the beginning and the end. You are the first and the last. You are God wrapped in flesh. Always has been, always will be. You are a Black woman with a destiny. And there's nothing more exquisite and more powerful and more precious than you. Okay? So don't forget that. This stuff we're going through now, no struggle, no progress. The world is changing. The world is changing. We have to change with it. And I don't think changing with it equals surrendering to it. I think we have to move from fairness to effectiveness, because slavery was not built for fair. It was built for money. And I'm not ignoring that. Okay? So when we have our own highways, we have our own freedom. Okay? So that's it. I'm not going to talk you long. Know that I love you in that agape way. And I want to say thank you to all of my men who are sending so much love. I thank you, fellas, thank you, bros, and all our allies. Thank you for all the love. I mean, all the love notes. I love my white allies. Y'all so good to me. I appreciate it. I really do. So I really, really do. God is faithful, and that's all I got for now. So I'm Dr. Venus. If you haven't already, please share this word. It's like giving word. It's like affirming word. No one else is talking about the things I'm talking about. This is stuff that makes a difference. And the resources, just reading the resources that I curated will give you some more information and data, because I'm dealing with how old the Senate is and and what we need to do so that our children's children don't have to have the same conversations that our grandparents had. Okay? Trying to see if there's anything else, God, that you want me to share before we sign off. No, that's it. I love you, sis. I love you, bro. I love you, fam. This is Dr. Venus, your hot mess millionaire. And goodbye for now.